Hi, David. Go
Hi.
ahead.
Hi. Well, my friend's mom, I'm not specifically sure what she does, but she takes care of old people. And on multiple occasions, the people have died while she's been there. And she swears by the fact that when there's people emit a smell when they're going to die, whether it be a few hours or a day, she kind of swears by this. And I was wondering if you ever heard anything like this before.
That's interesting. And I've even heard of some people describe how pets or animals seem to have a sense of impending death. It means it's going to happen in the near future. It's a relatively rare phenomena, David, and really not a lot of scholarly research done about that. It may well be in the spectrum of something that we need to learn a heck of a lot more about than we know right now. Interesting.
Is that something that you think maybe just she could do, or is that something that people do when they're going to die?
It's probably just something that she can do. It'd be interesting for her to try to document that and learn more about that and try to get a clear sense for just how reliable her sense is with that, because that's such a rare phenomenon, and we know so little about that. The more information we can get about that, the more anybody tries to study that, the more we'll all learn and know in the future.
Awesome. Well, that's good advice.
Yeah, super.
All right. Thank you, David. Are there other doctors, Jeffrey, that you feel as if they are doing just a tremendous job studying near-death experiences?
Oh, yes. As time goes on, more and more people are learning more about near-death experiences, interested in doing more about near-death experience research. There's really a number of doctors here in the United States and around the world that are studying near-death experiences. We have Dr. Sam Parnia, who's doing the so-called prospective study, where they're placing those targets around areas of the hospital where people may die, and hoping that people can actually see these targets and bring back a report so we can assess how accurate out-of-body observations are. I can tell you from my research, I'm virtually certain they're going to be incredibly accurate based on all the accounts I've heard. And lots of other doctors, too, all around. Lots more scholarly research going on. Year by year, we're learning more about near-death experience than we knew before, and the results are exciting.
Let's go next to Mike in Kentucky, east of the Rockies. Hey, Michael, go ahead.
Good morning. I have been infected with HIV for 15 years. Right now, my health is very good thanks to the fact that I have extremely good doctors. 5 years ago, I had a younger brother who died of the same illness. About 6 months after he died, I was taking some very, very powerful pharmaceutical painkillers, and I had accidentally mixed some antihistamine, over-the-counter antihistamines with it, and I ended up in the hospital emergency room. The doctors told me that if they had been 15 minutes later getting me to the emergency room, that I would not have survived. During this time that I was comatose, everything was totally black. I saw absolutely nothing. When I came to in the emergency room, the nurse was looking at me, and she just was sort of taken aback, my eyes open, and she said, "Whoa," like she wasn't expecting me to ever regain consciousness. And I was wondering, what is going on that I did not have a near-death experience?
Yeah, sure. And that's a good question, Mike, and that's something that near-death experience researchers wrestle with. You are like the great majority of people. In other words, only about 10 to 20% of people who nearly die have a near-death experience. So that means about 80 to 90% of people, just like you, Mike, do not have a near-death experience. In over 35 years of research on near-death experience, no researcher has been able to identify with any certainty or be able to predict, if you will, at the time of a life-threatening event, who's going to have a near-death experience, or among those that have a near-death experience, what the content will be. It's one of the great mysteries and one of the great, if you will, open areas for future near-death experience research. We simply can't understand that. I will say, as a matter of reassurance, Mike, that people that have had near-death experiences, when they come back almost uniformly, they believe that the heavenly realms that they've encountered, that they're understanding that there's life after death, they're understanding how connected we all are, they really almost uniformly believe that afterlife, that wonderful afterlife, is not just for those that have near-death experiences, but is for all of us.
By the way, Jeffrey, I want to congratulate you on your compassion with people that you deal with on a regular basis. I mean, you have a true sensitivity for that.
Well, I really appreciate that. And the interesting thing is, my research in near-death experience, I said earlier, it's made me a better doctor, but I think that's one of the focal areas that it's really made a difference. I'm more compassionate with people. I listen more. Yeah. I'm more. I really enjoy being with other people more. There's no doubt about that. I think people that have had a near-death experience, that study near-death experiences, that are interested, I think it really changes you over time, and you really become a more positive, optimistic person. And it certainly helped me to be a better doctor, helping to be there for people facing these life-threatening illnesses.
Let's go to Fair Oaks, California on the Skype line. Killian, go ahead. There you go.
Hi. I'm Killian Phillips. I'm 20 years old. I'm sure that I'm among the younger of your listeners.
You're right. You're right in there. We've had some 12-year-olds call, believe it or not, Killian, but go ahead.
First off, I'd like to say that I applaud all physicians and practitioners. In my mind, doctors are among the most important people in our society. And you sound like a very intelligent and educated individual. So when I say this, I mean absolutely no offense. However, I believe that arguments of philosophy should remain in the realm of philosophy and should not be touted or promoted by science, quote, science, as science is inherently agnostic when it comes or in regards to all things supernatural.
Killian, I totally agree with you. When I study near-death experience, it's not a matter of philosophy. It's not what I want to believe or based on pre-existing beliefs. It's a study of over 1,400 near-death experiences, and they actually fill out a very detailed, scientifically developed questionnaire of 150 questions. So, what the research I do, when I come up with this conclusions that I do, really not based on philosophy. It's really based on evidence.
Absolutely. A couple of minutes to go. Let's go to Vicki in Orange County, California. Go ahead, Vicki. You're with us. Hi.
Yeah, I had a near-death experience. I was in labor with my third child. This was back in '59.
Uh-huh.
And I was in heavy labor, and my kids were close together. Like they were. This was my third child, and they were like 1, 2, 3. Anyway, as I was in labor, I experienced going into the white light. And I was going down the tunnel, and I knew what was happening. It was, it was brilliantly lit. And I almost reached a level. I could see just a little. I didn't go all the way, but I could see a little bit above, like I was coming onto, like another floor, like you're on an elevator. And I knew what was happening, and I asked to come back and not go on because I didn't want to leave my children. And I shot back.
And here you are.
Yes, but it was an incredible experience. I knew it was such a peaceful feeling.
I'll bet you had overwhelming feelings of peace and love, like so many near-death experiencers described, Vicki. Is that right? And no doubt about that. That is a typical white light, a mystical light, very commonly described in near-death experiences.
But, what was strange, too, is I knew exactly what was happening. And like I say, I even had, the sense about me to ask to come back and stay with my children.
Oh, a lot of people are aware of what's going on when this happens.
No doubt about that. And it's, when you feel those overwhelming feelings of peace and love and joy, a lot of people during a near-death experience say that what they're experiencing in these unearthly, if you will, heavenly realms, they have a sense that that's their real home. And they're very quick to say, gosh, the earthly life that I've known for years, decades of their life isn't really the real home. It's those unearthly, heavenly realms that's their real home. We hear that over and over, Vicki.
Jeffrey, I want to thank you for spending the hour with us, my friend, and stay in touch with us, okay?
It's been a great pleasure, George. Thank you so much.
It's Dr. Jeffrey Long, who was reacting to a story about near-death experiences explained by high levels of CO2, not so in terms of what's really going on. Up next, we will be talking about ancient mysteries. Get ready on Coast to Coast AM. They're